Purcell, my sister, my middle sister.
So nice to meet you.
Do you feel like
No.
being the middle sister was the best position you could have been in?
I don't know any other way. So,
Right.
yes, because it's made me the person I am. No, because middle child syndrome is a real thing and I have it. Even though there was 4 of us, I was a middle child for most of the time.
Right. You still act like it.
Do you think that everyone's wondering which one we are because we're siblings and we sound the same? Everyone's like, "Oh,
That's
I wonder,
true.
yeah, which one's Gianna?"
Since I've been doing these podcasts, and I guess I never quite realized this, but I feel like I'm developing like a Californian twang to my voice.
I'm going to say no.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Still?
No, you know what it is? So I left Chicago in 2009.
Yeah.
And I have definitely gotten away from the Chicago accent. It still comes out sometimes when I'm singing, I'll like hard R.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you singing?
Well, just when Stryker sings, like Stryker can't, it's funny because, so Stryker's my bandmate, he can't not have a Chicago accent, which is really funny because he was raised, he's half Mexican. His mom still has a thick
Right.
Mexican accent.
She was an abuelita or abuela.
She is an abuelita ahora. But, because she has grandkids. But she can't get rid of her accent. And Stryker doesn't speak any Spanish, even though his like first words are in Spanish. But he literally can't, even the words that he mimics that his mom says and like the words that she called him, all of them were like, "you fucking boy," and things like that in Spanish. He can't even say them with a Mexican accent to like mimic his mother. And Nikki's the same way. I feel like she cannot help but have a Midwestern accent.
Yeah, she's the fullest Midwestern voice.
It's weird to think like numbers make a difference. And like, so Nikki's number 3. And as you go, I don't know, like, why is it per person? We grew up in the same place for most of us.
Right. The same family and influences.
Why do some of us have thicker accents than others?
I would
It doesn't make
imagine.
sense.
I imagine genes do play a small role in that.
You got the Midwestern gene a little more than like Carly did or something.
I don't know. Like, well, you're taking Spanish pretty heavily right now, and I'm sure that's
Puedo hablar
that's
contigo en
influencing
español. My accent.
Yeah.
And even when I teach, because I'll teach in Spanish and English, because like when we had the studio in Miami, it was a lot of Spanglish class and things like that. And then in Tucson, there's a lot of Spanish speakers,
Sure.
but there's mostly people in my class in this like for this one style of yoga that I teach. They're wealthier, like been in the States for a long time, don't speak Spanish, but I like to do it to just like keep the practice of teaching in Spanish. And the way in those classes that I speak in English are different. Like when I say brazos arriba de la cabeza, por los lados, palmas unidas. I'll say that, and then I'll... Que bien, todo bien. When I go back to speaking English, it's a little bit... like I play with my tongue a little more. And then also when like... Just when I'm in other countries, and I have a friend who's a linguistic...
What's his name?
Professor. She works primarily in some university in Canada, so I don't actually know what she's doing there. But the last time I saw her, she was talking about how it's like a natural thing that you start speaking the language that you know with a little bit of an accent in another country with the accent that they speak your language in, to try and like get people to understand you better,
Totally,
you know?
yeah.
So I don't know. I think some people too are like good mimics, and it's fun to mimic things.
Yeah.
Like, when you like hear someone say something and you're like, I don't know, put the shrimp on the barbie or whatever. I don't know. I lived in Australia, but I can't do that.
Yeah, you're getting, and even living in Texas too, I'm sure that, I guess Austin is most, like, basically non-Texan people to a degree.
Yeah,
like
I feel like in Arizona I do it more. And even like with Ivy, like my partner grew up primarily in like rural Hodunk, which is so weird. Like her Turkish family decided to move to like, let's retire in this weird town, like way in the hills. And so she says things like with a twang all the time.
Right. I couldn't pinpoint
her accent.
Yeah, because it is a unique like syntax or flow to her voice.
It's fun to speak in a sweet Southern, like more like a sweet Southern accent, not like the really country Southern accents.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love a deep Southern drawl.
There was this guy, his name was Jack, and he would come and take my class in Austin all the time. And he was just a handsome old man. He was like a litigator or a lawyer or something. Mm-hmm. And he had the best whistle. Just like a strong, moseying whistle.
A melodic whistle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he had this like deep twang.
Yeah.
And it was, you were just like, for whatever reason.
It's a comforting accent.
Yeah, and for some people, it's like attractive, and for other people, you're just like, oh, honey.
It insinuates
like
politics too,
a wealth bracket, and everything.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Have you reached a point where you're dreaming in Spanish yet?
I have dreamt in Spanish. No idea what it was.
It was gibberish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do. It's so funny to me when people are like, "Yeah, I can understand Spanish, but I can't speak it." I was like, I don't understand that.
I think the most confusing thing for me with languages is like the feminine masculine bullshit. It's like microwaves are like masculine and like German or something. You know, like something. You know, like random objects can be feminine, even though they don't inherently project
femininity. You haven't looked at a microwave and been like, that's close. A man. That's absolutely a gentleman.
Like I know, I'm pretty
computer lady, definitely a lady.
Yeah, and I don't know how that developed in a language over time, but or even like English, where we have what are they called homonyms. Where it's like
I like to play the homophone and only recite homonyms.
Yeah, is that an instrument? the like where, you know, like
English is an impossible language to learn. I'm very lucky to know English first. I wish that I was actually given some. I feel like if we didn't have Huntingtons in our family, we would have Italian in our family. You know?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Like, if we didn't grow up with, like, dementia, not not us particularly,
fucked up disease,
but, like, like, we would have had Italian passed down more, you know?
Right. Because mom knew Italian.
Even, like, Italian culture would be passed down more. Yeah. Whereas I just think our family was, like, maybe a little loud and abrasive and, like, you know... Morgan a Finocchio and like all these things that, you know, you remember now would have kept going as like an adult. Instead, we kind of lost all that when like mom got sick and then her siblings got sick and whatever. So,
I think part of that was also we liked dad's family more than mom's.
Right, they were our age.
Yeah, so we were like, let's be more Irish.
Yeah. There was one time I remember we were at Ornella's, I think, for Christmas. And she was talking. She has a crazy Midwestern accent, even though she's Sicilian and she speaks Italian.
She's Greek, I thought.
What? No, Zio Ornella is Italian. Her mom came here from Sicily.
Okay, yeah.
No, but she has this like crazy Midwestern accent, and she was talking about this place that they were looking for a house. I think we were at their house for the first time ever in displays. And Amanda was dying because my ex-wife is from Arizona. And they have, like, Arizona people usually, like, Tucson, Phoenix area have this, like, kind of neutral accent. There's a name for that, too, that I don't know. Siri?
Siri?
No, I don't have that set up.
I turned that shit off.
So she was, like, sitting there in, like, awe at this woman because she was just like, silk stockings. She kept talking about this neighborhood that was called Silk Stockings. But it was the, like, most nasaliest silk stockings.
That's a Chicago thing for sure that people have pointed out to me. I feel like I've grown out of that a little bit, but yeah, like
the nasaliness.
Yeah, the nasaliness, especially like A is obviously the giveaway. Yeah, Nikki has that pretty bad.
Yeah, we're collecting all of so we're putting out this new album, you know. We're collecting all of the bad reviews that we get. There's this
like a movie poster where they have all the 5-star reviews, you're putting all the 1-star.
All the bad ones, yeah. And there's this thing that I can't remember, it's not Submit Hub, but it's something like that where you put your shit on. And then other artists can comment on your stuff. Bad idea. This one guy was like, really nice, like everything. And you can like see how long people listen to it.
Like
and it's like
seconds.
20 seconds. And you're like, okay, almost made it to a minute. But he was like, the singer is really nasally. Try singing with your regular voice. And Stryker was like, I don't know how to do anything except for use my regular voice.
Dude, all that shit is bullshit. I've done the same thing on Submit Hub where, you can see how long they listen to it. And they're it's like, how can you...
And the shit on there is bad.
Yeah, dude. None of it is really that great. And it's like, how can you criticize art and like fit it into some stupid box that you think is worthy of your praise?
Right. Everything is great except your voice. And then, okay, so your voice isn't good because it's nasally. And then you also have the audacity to think you know that he's not singing with his actual voice. So you never heard him talk, but you think you know.
So for people listening, Submit Hub is like where artists go to submit their music, their new music, to playlist creators, blog writers, random people in the industry who may take a chance and write a review or share your song or put it on a Spotify playlist. But these are the gatekeepers of music. Although I think blogs are dead. So a lot of what these people do is irrelevant now. But
I think, when you we get something on a playlist that has that like helps. 27,000 views or something, you do get played, or people go to these people to it's all gatekeeping in every industry.
And it's just some random scumbag. It's just one guy. It's not like a team of elite pitchfork journalists, critics.
This one guy was like, sorry, I am Italy. And I was like, as he was like making fun of whatever it was that and he's like, I'm so sorry, I don't understand. And then like, I think you can respond on some of it. Yeah,
I think you can too.
And so Stryker responded and he was like, oh, no. I hope that you don't think I'm being mean. Again, I am Italy. And I was like...
Dude, I remember I had a song that was off like my first record that got picked up by like some Spanish journalist and put on like some Spanish playlist or something. And everything he was writing was in Spanish. And so I was like trying to like translate it, but you know how you Google translate shit and it's like the most terrible translation ever. I'm like, I don't know what this guy's saying about my music, but he apparently liked it enough to put it on his playlist. But yeah, like these are the people. It's like, they can say all the good shit they want. Like, this song is great, catchy, but I'm going to pass. You know?
Yeah. Or I would rather, like, if we submit something to one specific person and you don't like it, just say you're going to pass on something and don't tell me why. I don't want to know. Like, this is why people hire.
I don't want to grow at all.
Well, I don't. I don't want to know why you think my art is shitty. I didn't, or why you don't want to do a write up for this album or whatever.
I'm pretty sure most of those fucks aren't even musicians.
Well, it's why people have people working for them. You know, it's like, I'm not going to send you that people think. Oh, there was one that said, I like how shitty the drums sound. And I was like, yes, I got one, you know?
That's the worst compliment I've ever heard.
That's my kind of compliment. But I don't know, there's like something about art that like you're supposed to, right? It's like why in school you have critiques and things like that. Art is supposed to elicit emotion in some way. And so it doesn't matter to me what the emotion it was that it elicited. For you, it was, if as long as it's an emotion, then I did my job.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm going to change what I did so that you like it more. You know, like I will keep playing with whatever it is that I'm creating because I want to, not because you want me to.
It's funny. I have one of my friends, Valerie, who I played with K-Flay. She's a drummer too. And she's a lesbian too.
We're genre of people.
Do you feel like is there a correlation between being a lesbian and being
like
attracted
which
to drums?
Comes first? The chicken or the egg?
Because I know another drummer who's a lesbian. It's not totally obscure to assume that.
Maybe there's if like every girl drummer is gay.
I'm sure there's a large
percentage. I'm like a little
percentage.
bit butthurt about like one of my friends who I have known since I was like a little baby gay is dating a lesbian here who drums for like some well-known band. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you found another lesbian drummer to date? I don't understand. You know, it was really cool. This dude, Farouk, who is a trans drummer in this band called Abe's Bones that my band, Barefoot On Bumblebees, played with at this bar in Chicago, came up to me after a show, was like, hey, not in Chicago, in Tucson, was like, hey, I'm trans and I just, wanted to tell you that like if I saw somebody like you drumming when I was really young, things might be different for me. And I don't exactly know what they meant, but I don't think it had anything to do with their transness, but just as far as like confidence in the music world as like a drummer, maybe,
not being accepted as a woman.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really fucking good, like my friend Steph, who's a drummer, who you met at my house. She was in that band 8-Inch Betsy, which was like a big lesbian band in like the early 2000s. She's a fucking killer drummer. Yeah. And again, another lesbian. I don't know. I don't feel like you have to be gay to play drums, but I do feel like I knew I wanted to play drums.
Yeah.
Even when I did piano for 11 years, hated every second of it. Don't remember anything except for like Mozart 8 for 5 lines or something, whatever, And the only reason I got drums, I don't know if you know this, I was 10 and there was this glass fucking table in the basement.
Yeah.
And someone was pulling something out of the crawl space. It fell and broke the glass. And I was like, now we can put the drums there. And Uncle Bill, who plays drums, took me to find my set, set it all up for me.
He did
came
that
over
for you?
And
that's cool.
Yeah. He's the best. But
what did Dad say about? Did he not give a fuck?
About the gayness or the drumness?
No, I guess those are two separate questions. But I mean, like when you decided to pick up drums, was he just like, hey, at least she's funneling her energy towards something? Or was she like, God damn it?
I think it was a noise thing. Like they didn't, Mom and Dad, I don't think wanted something noisy. But I don't know. I think like the immediacy of me picking drums up, because
you were kind of young. What were you, like 13?
I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was like right away I took to it. And I loved those lessons. Like I will take.
You had a badass teacher.
I had a great teacher. Yeah, he had a #1 album in London.
As it just drums.
He was. That's all I remember.
That's all
I
he
don't
told
remember
you.
what the band. Tom Correo. He was in some like Duran Duran like band in that like kind of post punk era. But
that's cool.
Yeah, he's a great drummer, and I like drum teched for him a bunch, and he took me to gigs, and I still get messages from him, and he's like, hey, are you gonna be in town for Christmas? We're having people over to jam, and that was the coolest thing with him was he had every type of person there. I learned how to make a didgeridoo. There was every type of drummer there. One of the guys, Caleb, who I still talk to a little bit, he worked at Columbia and like played drums for the dance classes. And just like, and there was like one bass drum or two bass drums smashed together.
Yeah.
And you always, the last 10 minutes of class, played with another drummer.
That's dope.
You know? Yeah, it was sick. He was great.
I was just talking with a guest a few days ago about I had my guitar teacher, Chris West, and it's like those teachers that come along when you're young, and I don't think they necessarily realize it because you're just another student in the massive.
Right, there's so many people that come
through their whole teaching career, but you look back on those people and how much they really changed who you become. Because like I would spend 30 minutes, an hour with him every week, learning something that has led to me doing this. You know.
And you're probably one in the 70 kids.
Totally. And he had this thing he can never make eye contact with you, like really like at all.
That's what music is good for and dogs are good for. Like those people always have a dog.
Yeah.
They always have a bunch of pets and like work at an animal shelter or they teach music because all they can do is like wear their bangs over their eyes.
Yeah. Oh, he had this tiny room, probably a third of the size of this. And it would just be me and him, and all the walls were stacks of magazines before like the internet. Like, I don't remember the names of the magazines, but they would have like tablatures for like guitar and bass and shit. And he had every magazine dating back to like 1980.
Cool. How old was this guy?
He was probably like 50 when I met him.
Yeah.
So he's getting up there now. Like he had some health problems. I hope he's doing okay. But dude, he was such an amazing guitarist and bassist.
I respect those people that, like not everyone is gonna get famous, as we know.
Yeah.
Not everyone is gonna like take music in some sort of professional direction, but to be able to be like, no, I still like need to center my life around this and like teach kids like that, I think is fucking cool.
Right. Well, I think I was like 13. He left the school El Rey that I was going to for guitar lessons. He had like some fight with the owners or something about pay wage or something. And so he went solo. And then I transitioned and took a year of drum lessons with this.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. And with Vern, he was this like 5'4", like he was like 70 years. He looked like he was 70. He was probably 50, but he could fucking rock.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I took a year of drum lessons with him. And I only played one song live in front of people. It was "Money Talks" by AC/DC.
Interesting choice.
He put it on me. It was kind of an easy song.
Yeah.
And this was before I like really got a hang of rhythm and shit.
So it didn't go well.
It was okay. It was okay because it was easy, but I didn't feel. It wasn't like
you weren't like, this is the shit.
This is my instrument. Yeah. I didn't feel like that. It was more of like I just wanted to be a more well-rounded musician.
I was a better drummer when I was that age.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it was...
Because you were practicing.
It was constant.
Yeah.
We played shows every weekend.
Right, yeah.
We were constantly playing music.
That's the cool thing about...
being a kid?
being a kid where you have all the fucking time to focus on shit that may not be important at all 10 years down the line. But
yeah, even in like We Willy Rats to Survive, we were playing a show weekend. We were constantly playing. And yeah, I just listened to. We have to make a playlist because we're some I don't know online radio things like March band of the month. But yeah, we had to like put all these songs together. So I was listening to like some of our old music that we put up on Spotify, and I was like, yeah. That's probably better.
Roadkill Outties was the first band, right? Were those the first guys you did like drugs with or anything?
No, I had done drugs before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're pretty clean boys. Yeah, they're real clean. They're most of those songs are about God. If they're not about like puking or like pretending, one of our songs is called "Faking Sick," and it's like like trying to get out of school.
I remember me, Jack, and Steven always sing "Magic Slurpee Brain Freeze."
Oh yeah, "Magic Slurpee Brain Freeze." Still top 10 favorite songs I've ever played on.
That was great. So you were the bad influence.
I didn't influence other people. I don't feel like I did. Maybe I didn't really smoke all that much. So I was a gymnast until like I was 17.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped, I started smoking hella weed. And then I was always on antidepressants, sleeping pills, and
you were a mess.
Adderall. so I was taking drugs from and everyone would be like snorting my Adderall and stuff, and I had 25 milligrams of Adderall, the time release.
And that was before anyone even knew what Adderall really was.
It was right after Ritalin. Like my mom was like, I just don't want her to take Ritalin because like Ritalin had gotten this like bad
stigma,
yeah, and then it was like, no worries, we have this new thing. It's called Adderall, and it's like same. But everyone's like all of a sudden ADD and ADHD, and they're like, well, I'm so glad I know now. Like this is why everything's crazy. Okay, I was having this ADD moment, and I'm like, bitch, I am like OG ADHD. We've been here since 6th grade. Like, sorry. But no, I started smoking weed when I stopped doing gymnastics because you can't.
Wait, so the gymnastics girls were all smoking pots?
No, there was one girl that was smoking pot and she was fucking up hard. She didn't know where she was in space, which is like, I remember going to gymnastics once after, like I started smoking weed and being like, this is not like this does not work at all. So it really wasn't until I was a junior and senior. And when I started working at the salon, or when I started going to beauty school in my junior year, like those girls were like all sorts of ages. So we were drinking a bunch. And it really, honestly, it wasn't until I started working at the salon that I started doing like cocaine and like all these other things. But when I was in, I had these like 4 homies that they were really into salvia. I don't know if you remember what salvia is.
I was just talking to someone about that, and it sounds like a shit show of a drug.
Yeah, we were smoking salvia. You could buy it at the
right. It was like a liquor
shops.
Like a spice type drug.
Yeah, and so we were smoking that. We would do mushrooms all the time. There was one time I got arrested for public urination, and then they found paraphernalia. And weed and I had like $300 in singles on me. And so they were like, I intend to sell or something like that. I had just gotten off of work. I was leaving a party. I was 20 and I had to pee. I had my bicycle with me and we were going to another party. And so they impounded my bicycle and it was the day before a show at the Empty Bottle. And they took me in for all of that. I didn't tell Dad anything. I didn't tell anyone anything. I was just like, okay, when is my
right move? Yeah.
When is my court date? And I showed up, and some guy, like I was like, buttoned all the way up in like a pea coat. I like had my hair really slick. And like, made sure I looked nice, like no tattoo showing, and got up in front of this guy and he was like, bleed, bleed, blue, blue, bleed, blue. And that's what it sounded like in my head. And then he's like, And then they were just like, okay. And I like walked away and I was like, what? And then the guy that I got.
So you were on drugs at that moment?
No.
Oh.
I may as well have been though, because they were saying words I didn't understand because court.
Oh, you were just nervous.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh, yeah, because you were representing yourself.
Myself. Yeah. I was like, I choose to. They're like, we will give you a representative if you cannot afford one yourself. And I'm like, no.
You should have brought a suitcase at least.
I got this. Yeah, I brought a briefcase
put it down on the table. At least
open it up and
pretend you're sifting through something.
Or just bring a typewriter and just start typing for no reason.
Yeah.
But the guy that I got arrested with, he had like a whole staff of people with him. And I was like, ooh. And so I have a record because I was supposed to show up to something after that. And I never did. I had no idea. I can't get global entry. Yeah. This is from, I tried to get global entry and they were like, have you ever been arrested? And I was like, no.
Oh.
And so they're like, we found something on your record. And I was like, oh, what's that? And they're like, and they sent me a picture of it. And I was like, I actually didn't know that was there because it said nothing about paraphernalia, nothing. It was like failure to show up.
18?
I was 19 or something at the time. Yeah, I was not 21 yet. I know that because I used a fake ID to get into the bar before we were going to the party. But and I don't drink now. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed.
I remember one of the first times being so nervous driving when I was baked. Because
you were high.
Because I was really high, and I was in Wisconsin, and it was like really dark. And so I just remember...
You remember sitting at a stop sign waiting for it to turn green?
Yeah, I'm like sitting at one of those 4-way stops, and there's no one coming either way. And I'm like, where am I going? But yeah, I remember one of my ex, Brittany, remember she was a fucking stoner. And, but yeah, I remember I was driving her home from... Because she lived in McHenry, and our lake house wasn't too far from there.
Yeah, it's closer to that than Chicago.
So I think I was spending the night there because I didn't want to drive all the way back to Chicago. And but yeah, I think there was a point where I was like, I shouldn't be doing this very often because I just know I'm gonna fuck up. You know, if I do keep doing this. So I really don't feel comfortable driving when I'm high at all.
Yeah, so, you know, weed is legal in a lot of places, but there's a bunch of research now on anxiety and weed and how like a side effect of marijuana is anxiety. And also, though, a withdrawal symptom is anxiety. So people think when they smoke all the time and they don't have it for a while and then they smoke again, the anxiety goes away because that, you know, a symptom of withdrawal goes away. And so it's this kind of cycle that is creating a lot of emotional imbalance. Also, a lot of ADHD people really love to smoke weed, and it's a lot of wind in the body, and ADHD is really windy in like an Ayurvedic sense in general. But you know, I had one wake up call where it was like, I remember I like woke up and I called Yuri, and I was like, I don't know how I called him actually, because I didn't know where my phone was. I didn't know how I got home. I didn't know where my keys were, and I went down, ran out of the house. This is in Chicago. Ran into the basement, and my car was backed in.
So you drove home like blacked out or something?
I drove home blacked out. And there was a dent on the side of my car. So on the side of the wheel well. So somebody ran into me. And I just kept going. I had so much anxiety about driving that car around after that because I was like, somebody's going to see this car. It's a fucking weird ass color green, you know? And then maybe 2 months later, Amanda was in town for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm driving to like get food with her or something in between clients at work. And the transmission just drops out of the car. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I don't have to drive this
So
thing
that's
anymore.
how that car
I
trashed.
never got another car.
That thing was a piece of shit too.
Yeah, that thing was a disaster.
I remember you driving around with your side view mirror missing for most.
Constantly.
It was always falling off.
Oh my God, it was the worst because it didn't flop back. And literally, I had gotten it changed for the 4th time. And we were drunk downtown.
Well, it was
and
one of those shitty designs where it didn't move.
It didn't bend back. It just broke right off.
Yeah.
I was dating this girl, Nina, and she was an alcoholic. And she was 10 years older than me. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Sure, drive my car. Uh-huh. She's driving.
She was 10 years older than you?
Yeah, she was 30 and I was 20. Huh. She was an apprentice.
I've never met her.
You never met Nina?
I don't know who the hell that is.
Really?
I couldn't tell you who that is.
She'd been to the lake before. Nina Szczycka?
I don't know.
Very
She's Polish? Yeah.
She worked at the salon. So, I have dated a small handful of narcissists. This is one of them. But we're driving down this alley. We just left one of the clubs. She bartended in like the 90s where it was like Club Kid 90s. Mm-hmm. So we like left a club downtown, which I am not a club kid.
I don't even know where or what club.
The Viagra Triangle. Where like,
or like Admiral's strip club.
No, that's not a club. That is a strip joint or whatever. But I had just gotten the mirror on. It was snowing.
Yeah.
She hits a snow pile and kind of slides into a dumpster, and it knocks the same mirror right off. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And she looks at me and just hands me $100 bill. And I was like, I actually hate you. That should have been the red flag for that girl.
Well, dude, I'm still driving.
I thought you were going to say, dude, I'm still drunk.
I'm fucked up right now. No, I'm still driving the car that I had as a senior in high school.
That is...
Isn't
hilarious.
It's kind of disgusting.
I mean, I'm driving a car
At least I'm driving.
a year older than you.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Who knows what's happening in that back seat? I feel like I had Carly's Pontiac.
Right, you did drive that for a second.
And that exploded within a year.
Pontiacs are the worst.
Yeah. And then I got my good old Elantra. She's kicking still.
I can't believe it. It's a Hyundai. I didn't even know.
I believe it.
I didn't know that we bought Hyundais. How did you get that car?
Dad knew a dude who worked at some used dealership.
Yeah, it's always like that. Really, it wasn't his brother?
Who?
Tom.
Oh, Tom. No, Tom's a piece of shit.
I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about being in Wisconsin, and it was on Hidden Brain, and he was talking about like persuasion, and he was talking about how somebody uses persuasion in a non-ethical way, and he was talking about this guy in Wisconsin he knew
car salesman
that sold used cars, and I was like, is he talking about Tom? Just like there's one guy and he's our uncle.
Oh man, I hope Tom doesn't listen to this, but
I hope he does.
But he knows he's slimy.
There was one time at Christmas, he was like, John, I gotta take a picture of you, and I'm like, yeah. No, Uncle, you don't need to take a picture of me
on his flip phone.
Yeah, he's like, I know a tattoo artist, and I'm like, no, you don't. You actually don't. You just want a picture of me to show people in some weird way.
Well, we have so many relatives.
The poverty level just like got higher as you went down. It's all
over the map. I think I like having that many relatives, but you have to. There's a politics to. I mean, just think about like dad's lineup of 10 kids, like half of them hate each other, like half of them don't talk to each other. It's like I can't imagine.
There's some drama.
There's definitely some drama, and that's a bummer.
Well, I feel like there's always been drama, and then losing your parents makes it more dramatic.
Right, because you have to deal with the assets.
Dealing with the assets was... Like what Tom was squatting in their house, like after it had already been taken from by the bank. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't remember who it was that fucking went over there, and he was like in the house, and they're like, "Dude, you can't be living here."
You know what I was thinking about? Literally like last week was like, I know a lot of people who hate the smell of like tobacco or smoke. And I find it so comforting and nostalgic because it reminds me of grandma.
I feel like it has to be mixed.
Because she was chain smoking all the time.
It has to be mixed with like weird velvet furniture.
Yeah, like
that smell
like
is
decaying wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of.
I like a musty basement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
comforting.
super. Yeah, some black mold is super comforting to me.
I stayed in my friend's basement in Chicago, and she has a house on I don't know. There's like this part of the city that some of my homies are buying houses in because you can still afford a house or like a bungalow type thing.
Yeah.
And it's because there's like no highway anywhere in sight and there's no train anywhere in sight. And so it's this like strange pocket at like the butthole of Fullerton. And her house is like her boyfriend is like a handy dude or a construction guy. And so he's like doing that for work. And then he's also doing it for her. So things aren't getting done in any timely fashion. Like Spike got into the wall there when we were there and we ripped the wall apart and the wall is still ripped apart.
And he's just running up to up the stories.
I was like, you guys, Spike's on the wall. But it was like, it floods because it has that outside downstairs to get to it. And then there's like this weird stair like landing, and it's all concrete and it's a little green.
That's the gross
from the moisture.
That's the gross part of the Midwest because I feel like does the East Coast have basements? I feel like it's mostly Midwest and East Coast that has basements.
They don't have basements here.
Yeah, no.
The basements, and if you find a basement in Tucson, it's where people probably like wore someone's face.
Yeah. Yeah, murdered someone. Chicago basements look like that too. But yeah, all those designs, like all those places just flood.
Yeah.
And it's like there's nothing you can really do about it. You need an industrial sump pump to pull that off.
The only time that our basement ever flooded in Chicago
back home.
Was because someone was working on or replaced the fridge.
Oh.
And they turned the water back on, but didn't close the valve in the basement, and it filled the whole basement with water. All those pictures.
I remember how much of a bummer that was. I must have been like 9.
Because we had just finished the basement because we moved Carly into the basement. That was the year that we took like 4 maybe family vacations in our whole lives.
Yeah.
And just because they sucked. They were always the worst.
It was just a debacle.
It was the worst. And then, and Carly had been living in that basement. And you look at us, like we were in Hawaii, and it was like regular kids. And then Carly was like Snow White. She looked like she had been living in a basement.
Yeah. I loved the basement because that's where we had the Nintendo too.
Yeah.
But I remember also being like, right when I turned off the lights, sprinting upstairs because I felt there were ghosts in that fucking basement.
I loved that basement before it was done. It felt so much bigger. But we had one of those old TVs down there.
Yeah.
That had like green screen on the side where the speakers were. And like it was the big tube from like the 70s. And then we also didn't have Atari, but we had like one below it where it was like Pong. And it was like just 2 little, lines.
We also used to have our first desktop in the basement. And I remember playing Doom.
That was in the basement?
For some reason, Dad set it up in the basement.
Huh.
And I remember he was really into Doom.
Yeah.
And he would play it with Carmen.
With Carmen.
Yeah.
I remember when we first got AOL Instant Messenger, or it was before that. It was some sort of internet. It was the first time we got internet. Screen was black, writing was green, like not lying. And he's writing on it, and he's getting a reply back. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm talking to Carmen."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm messaging with him over the internet." And I was like, why don't you just go over there?
Yeah, he was right across the street.
Across the street. I didn't understand.
Yeah. Well, it was so
Dad
fucking
loved
cool.
Technology. I didn't get it.
It was
Still
so.
don't.
I think I inherited that from him to some degree because he was so ahead of. Although I think
we did get rid of it because he couldn't afford. Like he's like, this is too expensive and nobody's on it.
What, the internet?
Yeah. When like it first became a thing, he's like, I gotta try.
Yeah,
it.
the 90s. Yeah, for sure. I think. He was always ahead of the curve on that shit.
With everything though, like when snowboarding became a thing, he learned how to snowboard so he could teach us.
Yeah.
When wakeboarding became a thing, he learned how to wakeboard so he could teach us.
Yeah, he just liked trying.
He just liked new shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite part of him.
Yeah, he was adventurous.
Yeah. I remember in the basement too, we would have although we had it upstairs to begin with, but we eventually had like fish tanks in the basement. Mm-hmm. I think you were gone by this point, but I remember I
had died.
Yeah, you were.
Just so you know, our parents are dead, both of them.
Yeah. That's a story I haven't touched on yet, but I'll dive deeper into that another time. But I would catch frogs and turtles up in Wisconsin, and then bring them home and try and raise them or take care of them, and they would always get out and kill themselves.
Yeah, they would always die. There was one time for Christmas, I bought all my friends feeder mice from.
Yeah. You got me one. Yeah. And I loved him.
I fucking loved the first one I ever had was Ling Ling.
Yeah.
And he was the fucking best. He would burrow in my hair.
Uh-huh.
I'd feed him cheese on my shoulder.
And he choked on a peanut.
No, he was going into my underwear drawer, and I was gonna lose him, and so I pulled the drawer out, and I broke his neck.
Oh.
And I called Yuri, and I was like, Yuri, I killed Ling Ling. And I was bawling, and he started dying laughing. And he's like, we'll get you another one. I was like, but it won't be Ling Ling. And so we went and got this fucking black and white cow mouse, and it was the worst. And it got out immediately, and then it like got into some sort of poison, and it was like doing all this like it was insane.
Oh my God.
Do you remember the snakes that we brought back from Mom's brother?
Nikki's corn snake?
No. So
we had so many fucking pets, dude.
Yeah, we were at the lake house that Uncle Paul had.
Yeah.
And that place was like 4 square feet and a boat. Like that was all, there was like nothing to the place. But we found these gardener snakes. I think that's when we got them. And there was 2 of them. One was little and one was big. And both gardener snakes.
Yeah.
One got out on the way. It was either there or at Nick's house, Uncle Nick. But it got out from the box on the way back, and Dad's driving. And he reaches down. It's crawling up his pant leg.
Yeah.
He grabs it
I remember that.
Passes it back to each of us to put back in the box.
I remember that story.
And then later, that same snake, I went to show it to Kate Kinosh. And it bites my hand. And she's like, does it hurt? And I'm like, yeah. It's like had to grab its little jaws to release it. And we walked that day. I was holding it, and he was like trying to bite my hand. I was holding him just below his face, and we walked to the train tracks and just let him go.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. I feel like Nikki was also really deep in the pet ownership game. Like
she had cool reptiles.
Yeah, she had a hamster too. Bear. His name was Bear.
We had a bunch of hamsters. You weren't there, but one of our hamsters had babies in the night once. You weren't born yet.
And ate them all.
25 babies. Tiny little...
I've told people about one of the most traumatic things I saw was...
A hamster eating the babies?
Your bunny eating the babies that your friend's bunny gave birth to. For some reason, left him at our house.
Oh, really?
You don't remember that?
No.
In the basement, you were keeping... His name was Bunny, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then all of the other bunnies had names based off of what they looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember going down there and seeing like 5 of them without heads. And I was like, wow. So this is
life.
Circle of life, huh?
Yeah.
What a father.
What? Yeah, it was Fatty, Cutie, escaped all the time. And then we had one. I think it was Brody, and I'd like have to rip because I had them in all together in a dog cart. What are they called? Dog.
Like a dog house?
No, what is a cage? Dog cage.
A dog.
Got it.
Yeah. You mean outside?
One syllable. No, inside. And they would get out all the time, and I would like find Brody, and she would have a hamster in her mouth.
No.
And I'd be like, ah! And she'd like drop it. She's just playing with it.
She's just holding him.
Yeah,
keeping him safe.
She ate Fatty like twice. And Fatty was just like, what the fuck?
Oh, I miss Brody.
But I gave all those bunnies to my friends too. Another, like, I'm sure my friends' parents were just like, what the fuck?
I remember you guys still give me shit for losing my turtle.
Our turtle. You lost our turtle.
Well, you guys made a fencing in our backyard for him.
And then he just into the ground or something.
He did like some fucking Pokemon shit and dug a tunnel and ran away.
Yeah, I'm sure he ran.
He definitely he went somewhere.
You know, the first turtle that we ever had before Nikki was even born.
Yeah.
Dad told us it ran away. And every time we would go to the forest preserve and like the turtles would be there, we'd be like, do you think that's our turtle? Yeah. And my dad would be like, yeah. And I found out probably in my 20s that he died. I was like, what? Why would you lie about that? We had started going to funerals at age 3. Right, and you had to lie to me about my turtle dying. Like, that relative of mine is dying or dead, and it's more important to you that I don't know that my turtle died.
I mean, we're going to multiple funerals a year for our whole lives, I think.
Constantly.
Someone was croaking at all times.
And they were Catholic. Which
and so dreary.
And even worse than that, they were Italian Catholic. So there were people that we didn't know giving us kisses all the time.
Yeah.
It was not my favorite time.
No,
and then Mom would always be like, touch him.
Touch him.
Just like put your
in the coffin?
Yeah. Put your hand on. What? No.
You know, Nikki wants to, she's really interested in like the mortuary science.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's disturbing.
What? Why?
You know, you have to like bleed the bodies.
Okay, well, that I don't understand wanting to display the body after death. That I don't understand. I understand it because of
kind of
yes.
Yeah.
Also, I think death is really cool. But the whole, like, I'd be more interested in selling, like, urns and caskets than I would be, like, bleeding and fermenting a body.
Yeah, the mainstream American, I guess it's just most of Western culture, of taking up so much space with your dead fucking body.
Yeah.
It is not sustainable.
I think it's a cultural thing though. Like it's very like for example, I did this like whole process with people of like imagining your death. And I had to do it for my doula program with 3 people. And I did one with it was in Tucson. Oh. And I did one with Ivy. And one of the questions is like, what do you want done to your body? And she said she'd want to be cremated, but because she's Muslim, she can't be. And so she wanted this like very Muslim funeral for herself because of tradition and culture and all that. But she doesn't believe that that's the appropriate way to care for the body after death.
Does she practice Islam?
No, a Muslim? No, she's like has the Quran in the highest place in her house,
but
just
otherwise honoring
it's
her
just
family or something.
Like she's not fasting or practicing in Ramadan or whatever. But most of my friends that are Muslim don't. But there's I think just cultural things. Even like she got hit in a Walmart parking lot. She loves Walmart, and.
For what? Is there something at Walmart that she...
Anything.
The
You
prices,
go in there for one thing, the prices, the scene. She got hit in this new truck that she got, this like new old truck she got, and she blamed it on not having like the Eye of Ra or whatever. You know, everyone calls it something different. I don't know that, but she didn't have this like they're very superstitious thing in her car, and she just blamed that. It wasn't like the fact that it was Walmart and its parking lot. You know,
some fucker just not
or
looking.
some like oldest dirt person was just like, you know.
I put in my will. I made a will.
I have one too.
Yeah.
You're getting everything.
Yeah. I put in my will.
All of my.
I put in my will.
ones.
Everything I get from Gianna gets donated to science. But that's what I was getting to. Donate my body to science. That's in my will right now.
Yeah, I have that in my will too. And there's also like, you know, organ, like depending on why I die.
Yeah.
To have organs donated, which can be two conflicting things.
I want my organs preserved in epoxy.
Well, so I went to this. I went to the Mutter Museum. Have you ever been there?
Where's
in
that?
Philly?
No.
It's so cool, and they have skin from like a Navy guy from
Like tattooed.
Yes.
Oh.
And it's just like a bleh of skin floating in water. And I'm like, that's what I want to donate my body to the Mutter Museum.
I went to, what was I with? I think I was with Dad at the Science and Industry in Chicago.
Oh, did you go to the Bodies exhibit?
The Body World exhibit was, I must have been like 11 or 12.
That's one of the things I miss about living in a big city is the fucking museums.
Yeah, Chicago is the best museums. But yeah, seeing that shit, it was kind of eye-opening because you're like, I mean, just thinking about like your death and not really giving a fuck at that point because you're dead and you're like, whatever, dude, do whatever you want with it. Because they're all put in like poses. Like some are like dancing.
Yeah, I want to be Stryker said he wants to be taxidermied to be in a seat, like busied. Yeah, like so that he could be at his own funeral.
He's like building Legos.
Yeah, like it looks like he's just texting or something. I think from growing up and just assuming that you're just gonna get old and die.
Yeah.
Or not old, sick and die because of like our family.
Sure.
And going to so many funerals and just like the kind of presence of death always in our lives. There's not as much, I don't know, there's not as much weight on it, you know? Especially when you watch, like we watched two parents' bodies die. You know, like I remember us walking up to the casket with Mom and I just started laughing because I was like, this doesn't look anything like her. And it's like, well, yeah, she's dead. And it's like, well, then why are we doing this?
And they're packed full of chemicals.
I was trying to like fix her hair, and then her hair started falling out. And I was like, oh, fuck. You know, like
her nose fell off. Yeah, I
there's an attachment to the body even after death.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, oh, I want to see them one more time or whatever it is, and it's like, why do you want to see them like that? Why do you want to see them dead? Look at a picture.
Yeah, I don't like. I remember, I feel like one of the first bodies that I remember seeing really well was Grandpa, Dad's dad. And yeah, just noticing how little he resembled like what I remember and being like why put in this much effort to make him look good when he's like, that's just our culture.
Yeah. The first funeral I remember was Uncle Dick.
Uncle Dick?
Do you remember him?
I don't know who that is.
So Uncle Dick was rich. And he wasn't our uncle, he was Dad's uncle. Okay. And he always had the Easter with silver dollars. And so he had silver dollars and Easter eggs, and I'm too old or too young to remember this.
I might still have those.
Do you have mine? Because I don't. You probably have mine.
I'll show you. I might have them.
I don't know where mine are.
I might have sold them. I don't know.
You know what? I have these 2 bonds that I cannot get rid of. No bank fucking takes bonds.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're 2.
I think I have some
They're
of
like
those
$50 bonds that are now $100, and nobody will fucking take them. Every bank I walk into, I turn into a total Karen. I'm like, so what do you guys do?
So
you can't take my bond?
They're really. I'm surprised that actually
They won't take it.
They're just like, fuck you, dude.
They're like, no, you need to go into this website, make an account, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't even like turning on my computer, let alone making an account in another government website.
Yeah, you walk in there with the fucking Uzi, like as if you're gonna rob the place, but you're just making them take your bonds.
Just take my fucking bonds. I take the guy's money he's trying to deposit behind me, trade him my bonds, and walk out.
Fair trade, baby.
I backwards roll. I do a back handspring out of there.
I think that's your phone sending out some
vibes.
Some vibes.
Sending out some bad vibes.
That was like some Skrillex or something. So my wife slapped my 4-year-old very hard on his face over something I thought was insignificant. How do I talk to her about this? She says it's cultural.
I'm interested in the cultural part.
I'm sure the kid deserved it to some degree.
Mom, literally, I was the only person Mom hit out of the 4 of us. So, and I deserved it, is what I'm told from the rest of us.
Do you remember something you did that received a licking?
No. I really don't remember the thing. The only thing you remember when you're a kid is the hit. You don't remember what the lesson was that you were trying to teach.
Right. That's
I
true.
love that. Wait, what did he say? He was like, that I thought it wasn't
insignificant. Yeah. So he probably left his toy out or some dumb shit, this poor kid.
Yes, but the fact that he wasn't, he's not like, I don't want my wife to hit my kid.
Yeah.
I don't think this was the thing that should have elicited a strike.
Yeah.
That to me is the bigger issue there. That they're like, hitting is okay, but this wasn't a thing that a hit was necessary for.
Right. I remember Dad hitting me in the back of the head really hard. I think I might have closed the door on his finger or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it really pissed him off.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you smashed this fucking... It's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Well, no. It was like...
When you accidentally drown your child or something, they were probably being crazy and they probably deserved it.
No, his fingers were free. He wasn't trying to get me to release him. He was like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's like, pay the fuck attention.
Yeah. So, I think he was fixing the hinge on the door or something. So, I deserved that one. I don't think I was ever hit at any other point. Although I was relatively a docile child, though. You were
you were on Quaaludes the entirety of your upbringing. Just a real docile. You were born with it's like how Ozzy, we got this boxer that had worms and he was like a cat.
He was the best.
You were born with that Billy with the jaundice.
Right. Yeah.
So it just sedated you a little bit.
I was a little yellow from day one.
Yeah, yellow baby that moves slow.
Mellow yellow baby. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think the problem here is in his question.
Right. I think he didn't give any. There
was no context there.
No, what the kid did. So it clearly was not a big deal. I would. It's clearly going to be an issue. If his wife, I bet she's Sicilian.
It's highly likely. Yeah. Though, if your wife's response is it's cultural, then y'all are gonna have an issue for a while.
Right. She's not changing her ways.
She's not changing her ways. People if this is anything, any sort of question asked beyond 2008. Then this is a real current day problem.
Yeah.
Whereas parents 2008 and down,
they were
we can make excuses for.
Right. Yeah. It is funny to think hitting your kid was the standard for our parents. Now not our parents, but when they were children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you fucking get.
If somebody's you're gonna get the belt, somebody's coming after you as a parent.
I don't know. I think a little hit every once in a while is good for you.
Do you hit your dog?
No.
So why is it okay to hit a human?
I don't know.
This is the problem with this couple, is they don't know how to communicate with their words.
Right, yeah.
So if you immediately shut someone down and say, it's a cultural thing, period. There's a period there, right? You're not willing to have a conversation. You're teaching your kid the same thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think there's just...
Let me tell you, though, I want to hit people on a regular basis. I don't, because I have words, and I just can be very aggressive with my words.
Yeah,
which is just as satisfying sometimes.
Yeah, I think your words sting.
Yeah, like the pain of a hit. You hit me once, the sting from the pain goes away faster than the words.
The words may last a lifetime.
Forever. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this guy just needs to talk to his wife, and if she really wants to inflict some damage, inflict psychological damage.
Yeah, that's the recommendation.
Okay, let's try another one here. Last year, my husband discovered Destiny's Child. I don't know how he wasn't aware of them before, but that's beside the point. He obviously didn't have this obsession before we were married. In fact, we have been married for 7 years, and he'd never exhibited any signs of obsessive behavior before this. Now, his obsession is taking over both of our lives and costing us a lot of money. He spends all day on eBay bidding on Destiny's Child merch. He is always the highest bidder, so it's very expensive. He is only subscribed to streaming services so he can listen to them. He bought a Bluetooth shower speaker so he can listen to them while he bathes. Okay, so he says he just thinks they're really cool. I'm almost to my wit's end. I feel like I can't escape Destiny's Child, and I've lost my husband.
Okay, I don't think it's besides the point.
Yeah,
it is. What year is? What do you mean
you
haven't?
Today.
What do you mean you haven't heard of Destiny's Child? We were all part of a monoculture.
Right? Yeah.
There's something wrong. You know what the problem is? She's just finding out that her husband is on the spectrum.
Right. I think you might be right. Yeah. Or maybe fucking hit his head one day, and he's hemorrhaging. Like something's wrong up there.
Well, you don't have to have a brain aneurysm to like Destiny's Child.
No,
but if you missed them the first time, I could understand why there's a little bit of an issue now, where you're like, I
20
can't
years
get
later.
Enough. I mean, hit after hit.
I mean, they're good, but not that good.
What?
I think he needs help. I think he needs professional help. I don't think this is something she can do.
You know what? She should take another 90s, early 2000s
that she likes.
Celeb that he maybe hasn't heard of.
And she becomes obsessed with that? Yeah.
Like O-Town.
Oh. Who is that?
You don't remember the boy band O-Town?
That's ancient.
I think they had this like, they were like such
Like the C Squad to NSYNC?
Yes, kind of. I feel like they had I need to know what the song is called. I think it was Liquid Dream. I'm not even lying.
O-Town. How come I haven't fucking heard of that? O-Town members?
No, look up O-Town.
There's 6 people in O-Town?
Yeah, they're like Slipknot.
Yeah, O-Town.
I think she should just...
Hello World? Oh, this is like some new shit?
Do not play anything new by them. I'm sure it's horrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't great then.
I'm never going to find it because apparently they're trying to come back and release shit.
Oh, yeah. They're just putting shit out now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like if you like do the same thing to him. Put all of their teen Tiger Beat pictures all over the back of your door.
Yeah.
And just like get obsessed.
Dude, it's got to be so weird. If he's wearing Destiny's Child merch around like a grown man.
I love that for him, though.
I think it's hip now because it's kind of that secondhand thrift vibe.
Right.
But
it's very queer. Maybe he's also queer and she's just figuring out, too, that he's queer. Because, like, if I saw somebody in a Destiny's Child shirt, I'd be like, girl.
I think he is, because listen to this bit. I didn't read this bit. He makes me sit down and watch him dance in front of the TV to make sure his form and timing are perfect. Because he's learning the choreography.
Been there, done that.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, I think he says. I would like to point out that she's a woman. I would like to point out that his obsession is not sexual in any way.
Yeah, it sounds very much like an autistic, like queer queen, just like getting into it.
But how does this happen after just 7 years of marriage?
I don't know. We all have our key. We all have the key that unlocks our gayness or our queerness.
He's like one of those Russian sleeper cells, but for Destiny's Child.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah, something triggered him.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's a lost cause and file the divorce papers.
I mean, how much of a devil would you be to be like, I can't deal with how much you love Destiny's Child. You need to stop loving them. Like, you need to be like, this is super not my vibe. Been there, done that. Like, was obsessed. Now we're like just on Beyonce. Okay, we're like over everyone else.
We're pushing on, 40 years old.
It's time to do some other things. Like, I'm gonna go marry someone else.
Yeah.
Enjoy your.
I think
early
they're
2000s.
done. I think this marriage is in the trash bin.
We all need a catalyst.
Yeah.
Some people cheat. Some people use Destiny's Child.
I think this is a viable pathway to.
I would watch this.
This reality show.
True Life.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Destiny's Child.
It sounds like an episode.
Yeah. He's having one for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's do one more here. I have $8 to my name and almost no future income in sight. What should I do? I'm on the brink of losing my entire savings. My job is based on tips and business has been slow. Even on the days I do get to work, I make hardly anything. This $8 is everything I have until next week. How can I make the most of this?
Wait, his entire savings is the $8?
Yeah, I think everything in his checkings and savings are $8.
And he's working and isn't getting any more than $8?
I guess not. Or he's waiting on a check. Or like, I don't know. It seems like...
you know what everyone's doing these days? GoFundMes.
Yeah, sell some feet pics, plasma.
You know what I was doing?
There's a lot of things you could do.
Plasma, sperm. You know what I was doing when I started teaching yoga, and that apparently isn't a lucrative move.
Yeah.
I was doing these like reviews online where like you would just get sent surveys.
Yeah.
And you would have to do all these surveys and you'd like get small monies for it. Or like transcribing things. Fucking the worst. But like.
Yeah, just basic admin bullshit.
Yeah.
In college, me and my buddy Milford, everyone called him MILF.
Obviously.
And no one thought any oddly of that. But him and I went to donate plasma one day.
How was that?
It was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Really painful, huh?
I didn't enjoy any process of it.
What you were getting into?
No, I didn't.
That's the only way to go into that.
And this was in... This was like almost in like the south side of Chicago. And so we went to this, it was called Octa Pharma.
They were farming octopus there?
Dude, it was disgusting. So you go in there and it's just like the ugliest recliner chairs, like 50 of them all across, and they all have like the machines next to them. And everyone there, you can just tell, is like on the brink of homelessness. Or like something close to that.
Yeah, they're desperate.
Yeah. And I remember going in the bathroom and there's some guy like on the ground and he's like, I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, dude, this is like my 5th time donating this week. And I'm like, first of all, they only let you donate here like once a week.
Yeah, you're not.
So you're changing your identity between donations. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do for you, buddy. Yeah. And I just walked away. But yeah, it's just disgusting. And the way the machines were set up, you could see like the blood sloshing in the machine right next to your face. And it's just, ugh. I felt woozy the whole time.
It's a bummer that that's what we have to do to get money. Like,
yeah.
And also to get plasma. because we need it.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
For research and shit.
Well, for people who have cancer and like all these different, it's a necessary thing. And the people that are giving it are like, who knows what they're doing with their blood.
Yeah. Well, you also had to do like a whole physical to make sure you didn't have like HIV or some shit, like something flowing through your veins.
Some blood-borne pathogen.
And dude, it was, I remember we went there and we were in line for like 2 hours. And then we realized we needed like
something you didn't have?
Yeah, like some document. And we're like, no. So we go home. And it's like an hour back home, and we were committed. Like our whole day was committed to donating.
So you went back on the same day?
We went back in the same day.
How much did you get? How much money did you get?
$50.
Oh. For a whole day's work.
We went back the next week and donated one more time, and we never went back. It was like, it was like marijuana money too. It wasn't we weren't really like on the brink of homelessness. Like a lot of the people,
it was just like, we need some sperm.
We need some money.
Yeah. You didn't want to donate sperm. I feel like that's a lot more enjoyable.
Well, that's tough. You need to like.
Oh, they do like a whole profile on you.
You need to jump through hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they do like background checks.
Yeah,
around,
and
like,
you
your family.
probably wouldn't be able to. Honestly. Yeah.
They'd
be like, sorry, 2 parents with neurological diseases? We're going to hard pass on your DNA, my friend.
Yeah.
But with people like this, where they're like, I don't understand what to do with this, my entire life savings, which is this $8. I don't know. Like I don't know, I feel like is the problem here, where it's like, I don't know that this is your first time being in this position, my man.
Yeah, he seems either very young, like a teenager, or incredibly immature, or
an addict,
irresponsible,
or just like a product of the system, or what, like there's something else. He needs a break in a different way. And unfortunately, when you're like born into lower socioeconomic,
middle of nowhere, Alabama or something.
Yeah, but also just like if you're born into a poor family, it's more likely that you will be and stay poor. And so connections and who you know and all that kind of stuff is what makes it for most people that don't start off in that way, But there are plenty of jobs that people get attached to the one job that they're doing because it's the one thing that they've been doing forever instead of like being stimulated to like try something new. It might be time to go work for Pepsi and be in the fucking factory all night and like get your, bigger paycheck and your benefits or something like that, I think there's a lot of fear around starting something new, especially when you don't have the means to do so.
For $8, what you can't even get shit.
I should buy some gum.
That's a sandwich, dude.
That's a Subway.
That's a meal.
That's a footlong, maybe. Do they still do $5 footlongs?
Whatever you do, don't buy a lottery ticket because that's another poor tax.
Ivy loves that shit.
Yeah, she was telling me about that. It's a waste of money.
She just sent me this video of this like full-grown adult just like beating children in games. She's like, "This is me. What's wrong with me?" That kind of like need to win.
I went to when I was valeting. I had one really great day that I made like $500 in like one day, and I went to Rivers Casino in Des Plaines.
The worst.
And I put it all on red on the roulette table and lost it all immediately. And I was like just so jacked up, like so excited I made all this money, I'm like, I know I'm going to make this much tomorrow too. Cause I was just.
Yeah. When it's easy come, easy go.
Yeah. And you're like just young and dumb. And everyone at the table just looks at me like. Like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking idiot.
You're like, right.
I'll see you later.
I'll be back with 500 more of those, everyone.
Yeah, I never.
You just moonwalk right out of there.
And that was kind of, I've been to Vegas since, and I'm just not a gambler. It just never works out for me. I just don't know how to play those games.
You're not good at it. Yeah, that's the problem. When I get money, I have to keep it because the chances of it going away are high.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, that's how I am more these days. I feel like when you're young, especially in Chicago, there's a lot less expenses. And so you could
Then
say
where?
Than here.
Oh, well, I live in Tucson.
Yeah,
I've retired.
Tucson, yeah. Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah.
I bought a house there because it's the only place I could ever afford to buy a house.
Yeah, that was the
time.
best move you could have ever made.
But what I think is we're from there. We have countless resources all over the city. Like, you know, our family has been there for the Purcells have been there for fucking ever. I don't actually know that. But there's
100 years.
What, Dad has 10 siblings.
Yeah.
And they are all married and they all have family. Like everyone's help. Literally, I worked at a dental office when I was in high school. Like my summer jobs were like not working at Popeyes, you know, just because Dad was like, get a fucking job. And I'm like, oh, he's like, this guy needs help, go there. And I'm like, oh, all right, you know?
That's how my first job, I suppose, was landscaping for the Berthogs,
Right.
which is a landscaping company that my dad kind of semi-helped them when they were first starting out.
Didn't he work for them too?
Yeah, they were just mowing lawns when they were first starting. And yeah, they over the decades they built it into like a multi-million-dollar landscaping company. But yeah, I went to work with them when I was 16 for a summer, and I hated it. It was grueling work in the fucking Chicago summer, which is so intense. Humid. And yeah, it's hard labor all day.
Right. But you have to be willing to do that kind of stuff, you know?
I think Dad was like, yeah, you're going to hate this, but I think it's a good life experience. I remember the last time I ever went to that building, the landscaping like warehouse, I think it was like this, maybe 2 years, I think a year after it was Christmas, and Dad wanted me to bring, because there were three brothers, the three Bertog brothers that run the place, but these 3 big bottles of Grey Goose. And did I ever tell you this story? And so, like the biggest jugs of Grey Goose you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, they're big.
And so I drive there. I think I still had the Pontiac at this point. And
you brought them one.
What?
You only brought one in.
No. I have all 3 of them. I'm holding them all. I'm holding them all like I'm holding like a grocery bag, you know, like.
I hate where this is.
And, yeah, and I walk into the lobby, and right when I walk into the lobby, the middle one falls out of my hands, and they all shatter across the entire lobby, like 3 gallons of vodka poured across the whole office space.
I feel like this is the story. This is the story of your life. Everyone I know born in September is like this.
What?
Has some fucking story this. Yeah.
No, that's bullshit.
This is a September baby thing.
Yeah. And all of like the front secretary were like the wives of the owners.
Yes. And they're like, thanks for this.
Yeah, dude. And I'm like immediately flushed red out of embarrassment. And I'm like picking up shards of glass and like, I'm like, where do I put this? And I think they're just like, get the fuck out of here. Like they just shoveled me out. And I never told Dad that happened.
I love the things that we keep from, he probably found out.
Yeah, I hope he did. but yeah, I never told him, and I hope that that's something I was taking to my grave.
There's so many stories like this that I have no idea. Like the fucking story about Carly like getting dressed up like a pilgrim by mom to go to like to like churn butter or something on some like field trip for school, and everyone being like, "Do you work here or something?" Like. Just because
she was the only one dressed up.
Yeah, just because mom wanted to dress. Like, what? How come I don't know any of this stuff?
Oh, man.
We each had our literal own worlds that, like, never collided because we never talked about anything.
Right. There was a lot we never talked about.
It was just like, shut I don't remember sharing anything with anyone and vice versa.
It's so funny because I just thinking as a parent, as a grown ass adult right now, like, and how stupid kids are. And when you're a grown ass adult, you go through every single experience that those kids are most likely going to go through, and you can't keep any of that from them.
Right. It's like, honey, I did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is the beauty of getting older. And I don't know, I haven't thought too much about kids, and I don't know if I really really want them anytime soon. But yeah, I think that's kind of...
I've retired that idea.
Yeah.
Because too, you think of something like this, like imagine your child being an adult. Enough to like write things on the computer and send it to someone for advice.
Right.
And they have $8 and they're like, I don't know what to do. And you're just, as a parent, like, fuck.
Hey guys, you made it this far. Some quick, shameless self-promotion. I'm giving you a free coupon to my store on freddytylerpaul.com. You can get any tee, any sweater, any book, any album of mine for 25% off. Just put in bad advice at checkout and you're golden. All right, back to the pod. I mean, there's only one way you can become a bajillionaire.
It's to take advantage of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's capitalism, baby. Like, there are cultures, like India, everyone's always negotiating or bargaining, but not in America.
Yeah, we don't have a barter system.
You go to Walmart.
You have to go to, what's that thing called in the desert?
A flea market.
Burning Man.
Oh, yeah.
To get on a barter system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you got to spend $300 on a ticket to go to Burning Man.
Well, everyone there is is got money, low key.
Yeah, look.
To get out there, you need cash.
Yeah.
But because I know other creative people who propose like a huge number for some photo shoots or video shoots. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like the bigger the number, the less likely they are to issue down. Mm-hmm. Because it's almost like, oh my God, this is must be being allocated very thoughtfully or something.
Yeah, you know what I like to do is I don't like to do things, and those are the things that I charge a bunch of money for. And if you're willing to pay it, great. You want a private lesson?
Yeah.
And you want me to fucking fly there to do it? It's going to cost you $600 an hour.
Right.
Like, okay, great.
That's fair.
I think this person should get into sex work.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I don't know what they have to offer, but everyone has their
Everyone
kink.
should get into sex work.
I think so too, because, everyone says like shake what your mama gave you or whatever. And it's like, it is an untapped resource for some of us. Totally. It could be very sexually healing. Yeah. And it's also like there's so many platforms for it. And the more, it's like being queer. So like, now everyone's queer. Like most people are like coming out as queer and they're like, yeah, I still, I date the opposite sex or whatever, but identify as queer.
Yeah.
Right. And the same thing could happen for sex workers. If we all just did sex work, then we would normalize sex work and we wouldn't be putting sex workers in jail or treating them like, uncivilized humans.
Yeah. I think a large portion of at least liberal Angelinos don't think as negative about it as, say, like conservative as Chicago or something.
You know what? The Midwest, though, and this might be a topic for another day, but the Midwest there's a certain amount of kind of prudeness.
100%, yeah. Almost a shame around sex. Like an unwillingness to admit it's, a private aspect of their lives.
Right. It's very much like, it's very much of like I'm sure everyone does it, but I don't need to know about it. You know?
Just think about our Irish fucking
Irish Catholics.
Catholics are just fucking like rabbits. And so it's clearly a sexual sexualized, sexually charged ancestry we come from.
I wonder if that's true, or grandma and grandpa just like had a great relationship.
Yeah, I always think
21 pregnancies is like
I really
they're
hope
inexcusable.
I wonder
unexplainable.
They were getting up to something for sure.
This woman was pregnant her whole life.
I know.
21 pregnancies. and she wore.
Dude.
She buttoned up her dress all the way to her neck.
Yeah.
Every dress was long sleeved and long pants. Like, she wasn't exactly asking for it.
Dude. Yeah, I wonder if she went to the gyno at all, you know? Like
they had to surgically attach that thing back up.
Stitches.
But this, I don't know what it is with this family though. It's like mom was the same way and not the same family, where it was like she took all those kids to full term, big ass babies.
Yeah. Huge stomachs.
Yeah, she had 8.5 pound, 10.5 pound kids, a little 5'2" lady. You know, like it was nothing. Grandma was what, 5'3" or something? Yeah. And it was just, and the Purcells are fucking massive kids.
Right. Yeah, that's a scary thing. Going through the full childbirth thing. Like if she was doing that in Ireland before
with 21 children,
modern medicine, she probably would have died.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
They told her if she had one more kid, she would die, and then she had Uncle Jim. Which makes sense.
Oh, man.
Love that guy.
I love Jim.
Yeah. There's a certain, the fact that family was able to have 10 children, surviving children, and live in a house in Chicago. Mm-hmm. A house.
Yeah.
And also have a lake. I mean, both of these homes got taken by the bank, so let's not
Well, you pay fucking scraps for a home back then.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Is like if things were actually escalating in a proper way, where your wages were also growing with the property price,
you could have those kids.
You could still have those kids, but now we have that.
We can't even have one kid.
I can't imagine being able to afford a kid.
Yeah.
As me, because I can barely afford. Like I get to my busy season, and I cannot wait for it to not just be started but be ended.
Yeah,
because it's intense, and also it's the only it's where I actually can make some money, and it's like, oh God, thank God, like I can breathe. But if I had another person to take care of, it would be impossible.
Yeah, and
I mean, people do it all the time. That's like. Me trying to maybe not be more resourceful. Like people have kids in all sorts of backgrounds.
I mean, I'm in a heavily Latino area, and everyone has kids here, But it's families that are living in those same homes, and I feel like a lot of there's cultural fear around it too. Like we are spread out all over the place, whereas you have in these more like. People's families who are more steeped in the culture that they were born into, there's a support system there. Yeah.
We don't have that.
We don't have a parish or a church that we're part of. And most of these Hispanic families are part of a church
or
too.
The Irish Catholic families or there's that.
There's a community to fall back on. Like if you were just having a kid now and you are, God forbid, even a single parent, and you have to get daycare or something, you're fucked. And just daycare costs so fucking much. But you think about, you'd have to pay for it to a certain point. But once they turn 5 or something, I'm like, I ain't paying that shit. Just stay inside, or
just don't die.
Don't die. You're on your own. I'm not paying for that anymore. And
you don't know.
You don't know until you're in it.
Until you're in it.
Yeah.
So there is that. But. Yeah, there's also, I don't know, there's no way to know. And people don't have kids because most people don't have kids because they're like, I can't wait to have kids and go through that. It's like we want the experience of having a kid,
Or it just happens.
That too. Won't for me, not really a biological. Although I feel like if I think hard enough.
I'll evolve.
You'll just
mitose. Meiosis.
You know, there's some fish communities that can change their sex.
Hermaphrodite fishies.
No, they change their sex completely based off of when the male lead fish dies.
I know black widows are the same thing. I think some like deep sea fish where the male just fuses into the woman. Like the female fish will just eat the male and then just like absorb its sperm.
Her powers.
Yeah, basically like
I wrote a paper on it last year, and because last year's over and it's now this year, it has left my brain. But there's we all have the possibility to be male or female as we're like swimming down the little, and and being creative. It's like the last little minute before we develop our sex organs. It's like, boop, this gene turns on, and it's like, and now you will have, now your vagina will turn into a penis.
Right.
But everyone starts with a vagina.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
because if you're born in fucking, Dallas or some shit where like you're expected.
Dallas is the gay cowboy state.
Oh, so, or let's say El Paso.
There you go.
Yeah, where you're expected to be, a straight Wrangler, and they probably aren't hiring too many gay cowboys on the ranch.
Sure.
But although they probably half of them are gay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's you just don't know, and everyone's experience is going to be their own.
Yeah.
And people create a big story around it when sometimes they don't need to as well.
Totally.
And you just like hear people and like your parents and their remarks about other gay people, and you just are like I remember when Nani found out that Sonny Bono's kid was trans and was like, this weird stuff never happened when I was a kid. And it's like, that's because you didn't have the internet. You didn't get to find out that it was existing. You didn't have TV.
You're ancient.
I internalized that as being like, she would never be okay if I was gay. So I never told her.
Yeah.
And then she found out I was getting married, and she was like, how come no one told me? And it's like, why do you think no one told you? Because you're a fucking ignorant person.
Yeah, it's funny to see those old people try and grasp with, like, some of them don't even want to acknowledge that being gay is an option.
Well, and they don't, like, old people also don't want to acknowledge that they're racist. They don't want to acknowledge that, like, there's so much, like, their frontal lobe is so calcified.
Yeah, it stopped growing in the 40s.
That
so
they
just
can't,
fucked.
Like, they need some sort of, like cordyceps to grab onto their frontal lobe and soften their like ability to just walk home in a different way, There's elders like that of all ages that have just been doing the same thing, eating the same things, doing the same job, and it really creates an inability for you to think differently.
Totally.
And if that's the case, then why should I believe that I can present a new thing to you and you accept it with ease,
Yeah.
It's like that woman blaming culture for thinking that, oh, it's okay for me to hit my kid. It's like, you're going to keep doing something just because this is what you've known forever. You know what's a part of my culture? Misogyny. But I'm not going to act like a misogynist just because that's how I was raised.
Yeah. I don't remember learning a goddamn thing about, granted we went to pretty conservative grade school and high school. Anything about gayness or LGBT.
No, that was
never brought up, even in like ethics class. I don't remember.
No, I remember having a debate. We had to debate over abortion, if it was right or wrong, in a theology class.
I remember that, yeah.
They like put you on two sides of the room or whatever, and you had to. But that was like as far as their like opening your eyes to things people do.
Yeah.
It's like, people get abortion. You should argue that it's wrong.
Or capital punishment. And you're like, were we talking about where you spent a night in prison?
Yeah. I mean, oh, wait.
Did we talk about that?
I know. Were we talking about that in real life?
I think we were talking about that recently in real life. But
Yes, we were talking about it.
but yeah, you were. I feel like we were talking about it on here. Though.
I think we were.
but that reminds me of when I was going to the summer camp music festival in Chillicothe, Illinois.
Where the fuck
It's
is
like
Chillicothe?
It's like southern. It's like right by Peoria. It's a piece of shit town.
Amazing.
And I got pulled over at I got into town at like midnight it was like the night before the festival started, and got pulled over. This happened to me going to Bonnaroo too. Exact same situation, but this time it was just me and my ex-girlfriend. We had I want to say 4 grams of pot throughout the car or something. And dude, these fucking cops, they had the damn dog, so they had a right to strip search my fucking car. And they find the pot, and dude, they literally were shaking me down in that they were driving me. They said, you can pay this ticket now, or we impound your car and bring you in for the night. And they drove me to ATMs all over the town.
That seems like
to pull out money.
How much did they take from you?
They needed $500, and I could only pull out $250 because my account.
Your limit.
Yeah, it was like my limit or something. And they're like, just give us this and you won't spend the night in jail.
That sounds like some
the most hick fucking just
Yeah.
shakedown I've ever experienced from American police. And and they impounded my car, and I had to pay $1,000 to get my car.
I was just driving the last time that I was in Chicago for a month, maybe 2 years ago. I had Spike in my lap. So my cat is sitting in my lap, and I'm just petting her and switching lanes without using my turn signal. And a guy pulls me over. I'm in Oklahoma.
Oh no.
And I was she growled, and I was like, he comes up to the window and he's like, you changed lanes without using your turn signal a few times. And I was like, I'm sorry, my cat is in my lap, and I just didn't want to disturb her. I should have known better.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, well, if you come back with me into my car, I will just run your background check, and then if it comes up clear, then I'll let you go. What? And I was like, what? And he's like, do they not do that in Arizona? Because I have an Arizona license. And I was like, no, they don't do that in Arizona. And he's like, oh, well, it's customary here. And I was like,
do they make up shit off the fly to corner you?
I was like, okay. So I get in there, and of course my background check comes up as not clear. And a dog shows up to my car, and I have so many mushrooms in my car all the time.
No.
And so I was like, can dogs tell the difference between regular mushrooms and psychedelic mushrooms? I was like,
all your portobellos in the trunk.
Yeah, I was just oyster mushrooms up the ass. And so he's on the phone, on speakerphone with this guy running my background check. And he's like, all right, something came up. And he's like, do I need to take you off speakerphone? And I was like, don't take him off speakerphone. It's my background. And the guy was like, no. And he reads this thing, and he's like, what about this from 2007? And I was like, yeah, I was 19 or 20. Yeah. Yes, that does exist. Do you see anything else on there? No? Okay, great. The dog searches my car, alarms.
No.
So he's like, we just have to search your car.
Because of the cat.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, they're not supposed to. And I was like, my cat is in there. Can I please just grab her before you go through the car? So on my way back, I was sitting in the front seat.
Yeah.
And I go to get Spike. I rip her out from the car, and I'm holding her, and I'm just like, fucking, if they impound my car, they're going to impound my cat.
Yeah.
I was like, the whole time I was like, Spike, I'm so sorry if this goes south. I'm so, and he put me into the back of the car with Spike. Yeah. Cat. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Snuck the mushrooms at the same time.
So they search my car, and they find nothing.
Nice.
So, yeah, there's there's rules that people of quote unquote authority are allowed to make up to not only scare you, but get money out of you to make it look like they're fucking busy.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no reason for you to do that to me or anyone else. When you pull me over for using my turn signals wrong, how did we get here?
Yeah.
You know, why do you have dogs here? You pulled me over for a traffic violation. Give me the traffic violation. You know, there's no reason for the other shit.
Dude, it's funny in LA, I don't see anyone ever get pulled over for anything like speeding.
Because they're busy with other shit.
Because there's crazy shit going
Chicago.
on. Yeah. And and then you go to Wisconsin where there's jack shit going on or something. They'll pull you over for going 5 over the limit and just fuck your day.
Yeah, I get why people are nervous to, especially people of color are nervous to do road trips across the fucking country here, because you can't trust to be actually told the truth or pulled over for the reason that they're telling you to. Yeah, that cop didn't pull me over because I switched lanes that he wasn't, approving of. He pulled me over to take up his time. Yeah,
and fill out his quota. And there are good cops, I think, that want to do good by their community, but
I don't believe that.
I can't trust any of them.
Well, I don't trust the system. And they bought into a system. They may have had good intentions, but like, fuck your intentions.
Yeah.
You know, like, you bought into a system that is oppressing an entire nation.
Sure.
Is killing people for no reason, is wasting their time doing things like bringing a dog out to search your car when really the point of pulling you over was for a traffic violation, which is something that could actually keep people safe. If you pull somebody over for speeding, you could keep somebody from getting hurt. You know, if you pull me over and search my car just because I have a fucking violation from 2007 on my record, I wasn't going to hurt anyone with the past.
No, you're totally right. Do you remember ever having a cop come into your grade school to talk to the class?
Yes.
And
she was a lady.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of progressive, you know.
We were not nice to her.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Kids are the worst.
Yeah. But, I remember having these pair of cops come in. I think it was like the last remnants of
what do you call a pair of cops? Polices?
A pride. I don't know. But yeah, I think they were kind of gay for each other, but that
would be my dream. All of a sudden they start whipping their belt off.
Yeah, it was like YMCA playing.
Yes, and then the fireman comes.
Yeah. But I remember someone asking, "Have you ever used your handgun?"
Yeah, it's like a glorified thing for kids, right?
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I used it a few times, but I'm never happy when I used it." I'm like,
good.
I'm like, what situations in Mount Prospect, Illinois, did you need to use your handgun?
1, 2, when are you happily shooting?
Right.
You know, where you're like, don't steal that, bang, bang. Like, no.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's such a fucked system. Like, I see videos all the time. I mean, I guess it's different. America, just everyone is armed to the teeth. But
I have a gun.
Yeah. But like, I've seen videos of cops in like the UK, because it's hard to find someone with a gun in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or in most other countries.
Yeah. And so the cops aren't armed either. They just have their billy clubs, and I think they have tasers and shit. Maybe I don't even think they have tasers.
I think they might.
Maybe they do. But yeah, this dude was coming at this cop, and it was a body cam footage with like a chef's knife. And dude, this cop was like trained with martial arts and took him down as someone,
instead of our fat fucking cops that dude, are just like
like,
bang bang.
Who like fall like on their ass if they have to move faster than a couple miles an hour.
We were all going to get, so in Chicago, to get a gun, you need a FOID card.
Yeah.
And that's not, I said that to someone. I was like,
no
do
idea
you have
what
a
that
FOID
is.
card? Yeah. And they're like, what are you talking about?
And also people, it's kind of like the same thing where people just treat guns as a hobby, where it's like, I'm just really into guns. I'm really into cars. I'm really into synthesizers.
There was a kid when I bought my gun. He had a blonde mustache, blonde hair, and he was buying an AR, and he had a gun in his holster. And I was talking about my friend who is a fucking badass.
This is in Tucson?
This is in Tucson.
Yeah.
She's a badass. She grew up building homes with her dad as his two little boys. She's a trans woman. Mm-hmm. Has all these really fucking cool skills and loves guns, and was telling me in this shop. So we're God blessing everyone. We're like, God bless, trying to play the part in there. Yeah. The place is called John 27 something, whatever it is. There's my president guns all over the place and paraphernalia. So we're
Trump themed guns.
Yeah, we're switch hitting. And so we were talking about taking the class, and this kid is like, oh, you don't have to take a class, to be able to carry. For me, I have to open carry because I'm 19. And I was like, what? He's like, I can't have a concealed weapon on me because I'm not of age. But when you're 21 and over, you can conceal your weapon. Oh. But you have to show everyone that you have a weapon on you if you're under 21.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
I didn't know that.
I almost think that should be the case more.
A national requirement.
Everyone, though. If you have a weapon on you, just show us that you have a gun.
Yeah, concealed carry is...
And then you're not allowed to have a gun in some places. Don't bring it in, but don't have a secret one.
Yeah. Or 12 secret ones for people that have a holster here.
They kick their boot heel down and it pops out the side.
Or their tits are guns. Yeah. Austin Powers.
Great bra.
I think, concealed carry is just asking... Someone's going to die at some point. It's
also when you if you've never had a gun drawn on you that you didn't know was there, it's very alarming.
Right.
And if you know a gun is there, then the expectation that if a situation escalates, that they're going to grab for it is already there.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's fear mongering, where it's don't fuck with me, I have a gun.
Yeah.
My dick is out.
Texas, where no one is. There's a lot less people trying to fuck around because everyone knows
somebody might have a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same in Arizona. We can carry. We can't if I had a gun in my car, the moment I got into California, I could be arrested. They have very strict gun laws here. But in Arizona, it's loose.
What about swords?
I was thinking, so
because that'd be
what marks a sword?
Can you walk around with a sword?
So in Chicago, sword? I remember we used to play with butterfly knives all the time.
Yeah. That shit's illegal. I know.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you couldn't have a knife on you though. A lot of my homies, all the punk kids, gave each other knives for
switchblades
gifts and shit.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be wider than the palm of your hand. So what makes it a sword?
A katana is a pretty thin blade.
but it's a long one.
Yeah.
So what turns a knife into a sword?
Oh, I see. So a dagger is probably the limit.
Once you get to a dagger length?
Yeah. I've never...
Is a bread knife a dagger if you use it like one?
No. It's probably, I don't know the requirements. Is there a certain level of sharpness that's required
for a sword?
Because knives in a restaurant, who professional chefs use badass long knives.
Yeah, you're
if you bring that out of the restaurant, could you be charged with something? I don't know.
Or Sikh people, they have in the Sikh religion, they have
those
like the
Sultan
a
type
little
sword. Yeah,
sword on them all the time.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Their whole getup is so legendary.
Yeah, the turban is
and the like special underwear or whatever, and
the baggy pants.
It's just
I'm all about
iconic.
I wish America had an obsession with swords and not guns. Be a more of a pirate-led society.
The ability to run with your sword, like it would have to be on your back. You would have to look like Link.
Yeah. High school duels would have been a lot more fun.
What about jousting?
Jousting is sick.
That's like fencing for the richest. Not only do you need to know how to fence, but you need to be able to own a horse.
Yeah, and a suit of armor.
Yes, chainmail all day.
I was thinking about recently, like a chainmail armor for like diving.
Have you ever heard those stories about people dropping something at the workplace on their steel toe boots and then their toes getting cut off? I wonder if it'd be the same thing. You get bit by a shark and all of a sudden you're just like, impaled. Well,
it's a mesh chainmail, so it moves around. It's not like it stays squished.
Sure.
You know, I don't think we're experts in anything we're talking about, but I think we have talked.
We've covered enough.
I think we've hit every subject we can exhaust in one evening.
Yeah.
Especially after a 6-hour drive.
Yeah. I believe it was 8.
But thank you, Gianna, my middle sister.
A pleasure.
Gianna Purcell, Gianna Yoga on the IG and everywhere else. Go follow her and buy her new t-shirts that I printed for her.
Yeah, buy some vulva wear.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, y'all.
Ciao.